welcome back to my small little library. Today we're gonna go over what I read in June. It is gonna be a little bit on the more chaotic side because I'm still pretty shit at logging my reading. I have not put any of these into Goodreads yet, which I desperately need to do, but I'm really behind because of like everything that's happening like in my personal life. So we are not going by reading order. We are going by the physical books that I read because I put them on a pile at least, and then we are going with the romances that I read on as like an ebook. And yeah, so no order, but at least we're gonna look at everything that I read. Hopefully this is the complete list. I can't tell you. I don't know. I need to get back into the swing of like cataloging everything I've read right after I read it, but yeah, it is a work in progress at the moment here. We had some interesting mixed reading this month. I finally tackled Lore by Alexandra Bracken. I did not like this. I gave it 2 stars. It's pretty much like a Hunger Games crossed with Greek mythology, I think. And yeah, this just wasn't me. It's your typical YA, but like obviously like really heavily inspired by other books, and it felt like too much in my opinion, and I couldn't really get into it. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. I think it's not really interesting to talk about. I've forgotten most of it already. I think I read it more like towards the beginning of the month, so yeah, but at least I finally got it off my TBR because this has been on my TBR for quite some time. I think this might actually be a fairy loot book, yeah. And I haven't gotten a fairy loot in quite some time. This came out in 2021, so yeah, it has been on my shelves for that long, and I know why now because just not for me. Then I did a reread of Every Heart a Doorway, still a 5-star. It's Shauna McGuire. It's about children who find doorways when they are relatively young that lead them to these weird and often cruel worlds where they live for some time and then they get thrown out once the children get too old, and they have a hard time finding back into society because obviously they have been missing from society, and they behave really different when they came back because they have like gotten used to living in those worlds and they miss the worlds even if they were cruel to them. And the book is about a school that takes in these children and tries to give them somewhat of a normal life, and then things start happening, people start dying, doorways start appearing again, and that is what the series is about in general. And yeah, I do love the series. I don't have it completely. I think I'm missing like the newest couple, but I love the ones that I have, and I think if you've read a couple, you know, you kind of get the gist, so you might not need to read the whole series, but I would recommend getting like the couple first because they are really great. Then I read part 2 of Skyward. This was a 2.5 stars. I couldn't get into the series. Brandon Sanderson's sci-fi doesn't seem to work for me, as well as his fantasy. Obviously this is the second part, so also the story is like, you know, I don't want to really spoil you, but I just don't like the main character. I actually don't really like any character in this book, and it is a YA sci-fi, which I'm also not the biggest fan of. And Spencer, the main character, is like still fighting for the universe, you know, still trying to find out what happened to her dad, and still trying to like one-up everybody pretty much. And yeah, I don't know, none of these characters really spoke to me, which is kind of interesting because I love all of the characters in the Mistborn and even the Stormlight Archive. Like I love those characters, and yeah, these are somehow just really not comparable to his other ones, at least in my opinion. So yeah, sadly his sci-fi just not for me. Then I read this one, which was super interesting, but this is Itch by Gemma Armour, which is a horror book about feeling like animals, like ants and stuff underneath your skin. It is psychological horror, but also kind of body horror because of the crawlers crawling all over you. It's like one of those things I'm really I really easily feel like things are crawling over my skin. Like if I touch like a spider web for like the next half hour, I will be, you know, going at my skin because I just feel it for forever. And this book kind of brought that out, but I still loved it. It was a 4.5-star read. The main character has kind of not the greatest start. She left an abusive relationship with another woman, went back to her hometown, doesn't have a great relationship with her father. Her mother died when she was young. And she finds a dead body in the woods, and the dead body is covered in ants, and then she starts feeling things underneath her skin, and she has some psychological problems, and that is what the book is about. Great read, great horror read. I would really, really recommend this, and also I love the cover. I don't know why, but it kind of reminds me of like older horror films, like towards more like the black and white era. But like the hot pink is just, it's a choice and it worked out really, really well. Would recommend. Great read. And then we have another great read that I got to this month, which was Teenage Girls Can Be Demons by Hailey Piper, which is a short story collection about coming of age stories from teenagers, mostly female teenagers, though we do have, I think one story has like transgender teenagers in there, so you know it is a little bit more diverse, but we are focusing mostly on the female main characters, and it is a lot about rage and revenge and the world just being shitty towards women and girls and stuff like that. I really loved it. I think this was a 5-star. I didn't put my rating down, which I'm regretting now. But yeah, they were all really, really great. I think there was only one story in here that I didn't quite understand, but the rest were like really, really great. And they left a lot of room open for interpretation for like a lot of these have like supernatural elements that feel like coping strategies for the main characters, and it was just really super interesting. I would super duper recommend this. Also taught me that I do really have a love for horror short stories. I need to get more of those because I'm really into that. So yeah, also love the cover. I love me a good cover. I bought it because of the cover and I'm happy with that, you know, it worked out quite well. And then we have the biggest disappointment of the month, which was Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo, the second part in the Alex Stern series. I don't know if it has a series name, but this starts after the happenings of the first book, and this book was just too much. There was so much thrown into this book with the supernatural, with rituals and murders and investigating what is happening and trying to get Darling back, and all of like these massive amounts of things happening, and Alex being like go 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 all the time, and it was just too much for me in one book. So it was a 2.5 stars, sadly. I love the main character, Alex Galaxy Stern. I love her. So I was really disappointed to see that the book felt like it should have been 2 and the story should have been slowed down in places, because it felt like we were rushing through the book, which wasn't really enjoyable to me at all. I really loved the first one. You still have the occult and the rituals and, you know, communicating with ghosts, and the ghosts are like, things are happening to Alex that she's trying to understand, you know. You still have all of those positive elements in the book, but we were so rushed through all of it that was, I don't know, it just felt really unsatisfying in the end. So I went with 2.5 or 3 stars, somewhere around there. And yeah, I don't know. If you don't mind a rushed book, I would go for the series, but I don't know. I love the first one. I don't think I will be continuing because this just didn't give me enough to want to continue with the series, you know. So those were all of the physical reads. Now let's go to the romance I read. I'm gonna look there quite a bit because I have all of the novels open on my screen, so hopefully that is fine. The first one I have here is Hothead, which is Drake Security Book 1, which was a reread for me because I wanted a shifter romance, and this is about a human and a dragon shifter. the dragon shifter is a bodyguard, and the human has a wolf shifter who is after him, and he has to guard him, and they fall in love, and it's really cute. I love it. The dragon has like a split hoard. On one side he has like a lot of money, and on the other side he has just soft things, because this human loves soft blankets and furniture and stuff like that. It was really cute. Yeah, the main characters are really, really cute. I really love that book. It was a 4-star for me and would reread it again and again. It's by Mika Nix. I think I read like 2 of the series, but this one is definitely my favorite. Then the next one we have is Gator, which is Three Bears Tactical Book 2, which is a series about the guys own like a security company. They also do like self-defense training, military and cop training in like takedown techniques and stuff like that. And in the second one we have Julius, who is a barber or like a hairstylist, and he witnesses a kidnapping and actually goes and gets Gator, who is like, they are like at like this gay bar, and he gets Gator and is like, there was somebody being kidnapped, and because the kidnappers saw him, they're actually starting to go after Julius, and Gator is keeping him safe, and they fall in love in the process. They kind of are into each other at the beginning of the book already. That came in book 1, you know, them learning about each other and stuff like that. So we are going straight into them being into each other, but they are careful in the beginning because of everything else that is happening. I really love the plot of the book with the kidnapping and human trafficking and stuff like that. It goes throughout the complete series, but you can read them standalone. But yeah, I did that as a reread because after that I then read the next book, which is Crow, the third one, which was actually a new release for June. And in that one we have a guy that was also human trafficked in the second book, and Julius is actually the guy that gets kidnapped in the beginning of the second book, and they rescue him at the end of the second book. And the third book plays out 6 months later, when the kidnappers are trying to get him again. And Crow, another guy that works for Three Bears Tactical, who has fallen in love with Julius but let him go to actually resolve his trauma from the kidnapping, is straight at his side and trying to keep him safe, and the two start a relationship through that. Really cute. All of the guys in the series are really, really great. Would recommend the series. Also a 4.5-star read. So yeah, like a great series, and there's 4th part, but it will take some time for it to come out, but I can't wait. I don't know, I love me a good like bodyguard keeping the other guy safe novel. When it comes to romance, it's definitely something I'm after. So yeah, I would recommend those. Then I read book 3 and book 4 of the Demon Bound series, which is called Calling Chaos and Unleashing Mayhem. This is a series about guys who are in the mafia. They are like the younger generation, and them accidentally and not so accidentally summoning demons, and the demons falling in love with them. So the third one is Cooper and Chaos. Cooper is like the not so brave guy in the mafia, who is more like the computer guy, and Chaos is chaos incarnate, and they get up to like some really adventurous things. And Cooper gets kidnapped throughout the novel, and Chaos has to save him. And yeah, there's a lot of action in these books because of the mafia connections. And yeah, those two were really cute. So 4 stars. And then we have Unleashing Mayhem, which is about Matteo, a guy they rescued from another mafia guy who kept him like as like a toy kind of, and one that wasn't supposed to be touched because he wanted to sell him on at some point. And Matteo actually is like summons Nightmare, but he's the only one who summons him like with the purpose of summoning him, because he just cannot get out of his own nightmares. And so he summons Nightmare, and Nightmare is already in love with him because he tried to keep him safe in his nightmares already. And so they already have a connection, and then Nightmare really helps Matteo get out of himself and start living again after what he has been through. really cute love nightmare, because he spends most of his time with like his skull mask, and it's really cool. I don't know. I love me a good like fantasy creature. And he's like definitely the coolest looking demon. Then I read 2 short story romances. The first one was The Lodger, which is a guy looking for a new apartment, and he finds one where a guy is renting out a room. He moves in with him, and they slowly kind of fall in love. And also the guy, Tom, who is like moving into the flat with the other guy, thinks he's straight, finds out he's not as straight as he thought. It was like a really slow, cozy kind of a novel. They spend a lot of time just sitting around in the apartment, talking, existing together. I really liked it. It was a 4-star. It was, I don't know, I felt like the 70 pages in the novel is like worked out really, really well lengthwise. And then the second one was one I was so positively surprised about. It's called Where the Light Falls. It is also a cozy romance, and that is about a 2 students. One works in the coffee shop and the other one works at a library across the street from the coffee shop, and the guy in the library is like pining towards the coffee shop guy and is always just looking out the window and looking at him, and the coffee shop guy realizes that, and he realizes that the library guy is just never gonna do anything about the pining because he's way too shy. And so he goes up and talks to him, and then they start meeting up, working side to side on their dissertations and, you know, the university stuff, and in the end they get together, and it's like really cozy. And it was actually the first romance I think that I read that has no spice in it at all, and I didn't mind it at all because it was so cozy and cute, and just like the pining and the slow start to the relationship, and both like being kind of unsure about everything, like super cute. So that was definitely a 5-star. I love that. It's only 50 pages, but it works out really well. Then I read one called Let Me Show You, which is an athlete nerd novel, which, you know, they can go hit or miss. We have Blake, who has a really bad experience with jocks, and he was bullied like a whole lot, but he always kept that on the low because he didn't want his cheerleader sister to know, because he has a really good relationship with his sister. And then his sister comes to him and is like, hey, I know Cooper has problems with his schooling in one topic, and he is risking his scholarship. So could you please give help to Cooper? And Blake is like, I don't really want to, but as a favor to my sister, I'm gonna do it. And then turns out Cooper is this golden retriever player. Like he is like a really nice, positive guy, and he is like, my goal is to make Blake mine in like a really positive way. And then he tries to show Blake what life can be about. And they also have this friend group of girls who just take Blake in and show him that you can actually have friends, and that life isn't all dark and negative. And yeah, it's really cute. I really like the book, and the way Cooper stands up for Blake and shows him that it's not just attraction, that he really wants to take care of him and confront his bullies and be there for him in every part of life. And they start really slow. It is a slow burn, but yeah, loved it. 4.5 stars, great read. Yeah, then I read one I was on the fence about what the rating was concerned, which is called My Stalker. It is like a stalker novel of 2 university guys, like both are at the university, and the one is stalking the other and is kind of keeping his bully at bay. So what he does is just like being like, oh, I'm here for you, I see you, I make sure you're okay. That is the extent the stalking goes to. And then they meet up because our main guy is like, you know, it's kind of weird what you're doing, can we just meet up? And they meet up, and then our main guy just falls in love with the stalker. And yeah, I don't know, it's though I find it kind of weird, it was oddly charming. It is a short story, it's only 84 pages, so it's also not super duper long, but I enjoyed it, so I'm gonna give it 4 stars, because for some reason the story just spoke to me. It's just that the stalker is just kind of trying to look out for the guy, and instead of just speaking to him and being like, hey, I love you, can we be in a relationship, I want to take care of you, he's like, okay, I'm gonna look from afar. I don't know, it was weird, but I really liked it. And then I read The Bromantic Getaway, which is a guy who just broke up with his girlfriend. He has a vacation he had planned with his girlfriend, and instead he takes his best friend, which his girlfriend broke up with him because he spent so much time with his best friend, and on the vacation he realizes he's actually not straight and he's actually in love with his best friend, and then they come together throughout the vacation. Really cute, fluffy romance, 4 stars, loved it. Can't go wrong with that, to be honest. Then we have one that was a little bit harder hitting, which is called Sheltered, Under the Pine Sky, book 1. There we have Luker, and Luker is in an abusive relationship, and he is trying to like not let it be known because he knows Austin, his best friend, would come and rescue him. And then one day he's pretty much nearly killed, and he calls Austin and is like, you really need to come and get me. And from then on, the story is about Luca and Austin finding their footing again and trying to build Luca up again, and the always looming threat of the ex coming back, which we all know he does. The ending was super surprising. It's actually like an ending you rarely see in those novels, which I was super positive about. I gave it 4 stars. It was really sad, like really, really sad. The way that Luca doesn't know how to interact with Austin anymore because he feels so broken and he doesn't feel worthy of anything anymore because of what his ex did to him was like super sad, but also a really lovely romance just the same. So yeah, 4 stars. Would recommend if you're up to a sad story. Then I read one, I don't know, I gave 3 stars, which is called Nikki, The Fallen Gargoyles, MC book 1, which is about Nikki and Booker. Nikki finds out his dad isn't actually his dad and that his real dad is a biker, and he then contacts his dad and is like, I want to meet up. His dad is like, whoa, yeah, I really want to meet up. Nikki goes to a town over, meets a guy there, spends the night, gets to his dad and finds out that the guy he spent the night with is actually his stepbrother. But stepbrother in a sense of it's the son of the woman his dad married, but is not his dad's son. So he doesn't have any like family ties to him other than that their parents are married. And so the story is a little bit dramatic about what are we doing? I don't want to lose my new family, and it's a little bit dramatic in that way. I gave it 3 stars because I still thought both main characters were kind of cute together. I just felt like the whole plot was just the family drama that wasn't really drama because everybody was accepting of it, just everybody thought they wouldn't be. So yeah, I don't know, it was a little bit of a weird one. Yeah, then we have 2 books that I read that belong to the same series, which are called Fated Mates and When to Keep Them, and Fated Mates and How to Woo Them, which is a story about vampires and humans and mafia connections. The thing that annoyed me with these books, they were both 3 stars. I really liked the characters. What I didn't love was that the concept of fated mates is not that 2 people are fated to be mates, but the concept is that there are humans who are particularly suitable to vampires, but like vampires in general, and then they can choose a vampire that they want to mate with. So they can actually like choose their love. It's not a fated love, but for me what stands out with fated mates novels is the fact that they are so well suited to another that fate put them together, and the books took that out of it, and I was sad about that. Loved the characters, the story was still great. It's just that the whole like changing the concept of fated mates didn't really sit all that well with me. So I give both of them 3 stars because I was kind of disappointed about that. Yeah, then I wanted a good demon book, so I did a reread of My Demon Roommate, which is a 4-guy novel, 3 demons, 1 human. The demons find out that they are fated mates. All 3 like together, which they were already a friend group, so that doesn't really surprise them all too much. And then the human is also part of their fated mates, and they start dating each other. Really cute. The overarching plot is that there have been dark souls that have escaped hell, and the demons are on Earth to like keep an eye out on them and keep them from doing trouble. And that was actually the last book I read in June. So those were all of the books I read, which quite a bit of romance. And the romance reading went really well, at least the ones I actually finished. And the physical reads were like really mixed. But I had a lot of fun with reading. So yeah, don't know. If you've read any of these books, leave your opinion of them down below. If you've read anything interesting that I should read, leave that down below as well. I always love me a good recommendation. And yeah, hopefully I'm gonna get more organized again with my reading. I'm really sorry, it's always a chaotic wrap up at the moment. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, for being here, for coming back if you're not new here. I really love doing these videos, so I'm really happy that, you know, you're coming and watching. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I will see you in the next one, and bye bye.